So humility and humbleness are appropriate to situations of uncertainty. We are not at all clear that God faces that situation, and therefore we can think of humility as not appropriate to God, and humbleness. I mean, if you like, he can say what is. He's God, almighty and all-powerful and all-loving, because he is and he knows he is. And if you don't know you are because you're in a world of uncertainty, then it's realistic, appropriate to be in a state of humility, humbleness in that sense, recognition that at present you don't know, and that's the reality of the situation you're in. So you have to choose to trust. Now, what are you going to trust? Well, very simple. A child could tell you, trust in the good. It tastes nice, so I trust it until I find otherwise. Every time I eat that, I get ill. Oh, perhaps I shouldn't eat it then. There's a humility in that you think, oh, perhaps I was wrong on this occasion, in this circumstance. I think I'll back off from doing that. And that's rationality, isn't it? Poisoned honey, well, once you know it's poison, you see it's killing people or not doing you good when you eat it, you stop eating it. Does God act in this way? Well, no, only if he were in that situation of uncertainty. But we surmise that he possibly is never in such a situation. Wow. We don't know that's the case. Because we are in a situation of uncertainty. But we can imagine that he could be in a case of certainty. Well, you might come back and say, what happens then if you trust that he is and he isn't? Well, the response might be something like, well, if he is certain and you behave as though he isn't, that's going to be damaging. And if he isn't certain and you behave as though he is, that might still be the best policy because he is very sure. Not certain. I mean, supposing that's the case. Whereas to recklessly disregard what he says, for instance, because he might be uncertain, would probably not be the best way to go. Are we sure of this reasoning? Well, we're sort of sure of the reasoning that it tends to imply it's best to trust that he's certain, or extremely sure, far more sure than you are of the best way to go. And that's likely, isn't it? Because his experience is immense compared to ours. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Oh, in the case you don't quite follow it still, well, it's most likely that he's much more able to guide than you are, then it's rationally best to lean on his guidance, even though it might not for certain give the right answer. The possibility of it is high compared to any other option. In other words, we can be clear it's rationally best. Am I certain of that? No, but I can only do what seems to be best. It would be madness to do what seems not to be best when there's a better option that seems to be available. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Why am I giving this recording triple plus? Emphasizing its importance. Well, because of course I think it is important. It's perhaps one of the greatest things that was revealed by philosophy. This story, and I don't mean it's necessarily a history then, it's a historicity of Plato saying that Socrates was declared by the oracle in, was it in Athens? Wherever the oracle was. The seer, the one with the great insight, probably female actually, that he was the greatest man in Athens. His friend tells Socrates' friend tells him, the oracle says you're the wisest man in Athens. Oh, thinks Socrates. What's that? Puzzles over this. What's triggered him to say, or her, perhaps, whatever. What's triggered the oracle to come up with this? I'm not certain of anything. I mean, wisdom is assurance and... No, wisdom is not assurance of certainty. It's only assurance of what seems to be the best. And we must look closely at things to remain in that secure state or to shift to a better one. Do you see? He's motivated aright as regards wisdom to be very demanding, very sure, and sure that you can't be certain. Even then, you can be wrong. In simple terms, wisdom is to not be dogmatic. You still have the power, the weight of your own convictions. That's necessary to pioneer, to seek out the good. But you're not reckless. You're very cautious about what you accept and what you don't. You don't treat it lightly. And his discourses, his pretended chats of Socrates as written in things like the Republic and so on, are meant to reflect that quality. Because the author, the writer, feels this to be very important. And many people down the ages have, and have followed philosophy, of course, accordingly, including Marshall in his tiny way, as a youth, 16, 17 years old, reading Plato in the South End Reference Library while he was studying for his A-levels to get to university. Most earnestly was he studying, and he's come across a field that seems to be foundational in logic, the importance of reasoning, and reasoning validly, whatever that means. Possibly it simply means carefully, in earnest, seeking out the logical. What is logicality, in fact? What are the rules of logic? And for this I was inspired, and I mean inspired by what you could say was a secular book. Straight and Crooked Thinking was the title, by Robert H. Thowless. I think it was that. Robert H. Thowless. Could be Thomas. Very simple presentation of logic, or presentation of logical rules and helps and guides and principles, put in a everyday speech, not formal logic. When I went to university, I was attracted by Alistair McIntyre, professor there, who became very much international, well-known philosopher. He was at Essex University, and he was the philosopher assigned to the social science department. The policy of the university was that every department needs some philosophical foundation and understanding to be safe, which was quite an interesting policy, wasn't it? And this guy, McIntyre, was great. He was entertaining. He could give talks in lunch hour, which were a fascination to students. He related fantastically well. He was secular. He had apparently gone in, or was going into, the Catholic priesthood ministry, and bailed out fairly early on. And of course this made, largely in a secular student world, they were impressed. He'd followed truth as opposed to religion, which quite reasonably has quite a bad name, of course, given the corruptions and problems that have assailed especially Christianity, but probably all religions, actually. Yeah. So in the eyes of the youth, he was actually the champion of what they stood for. In some sense, the real truth, not the phony stuff we're being palmed off with in society's elite's quest to control its people. Rebellion, you call it, youthful rebellion. But anyway, I found him a great inspiration, just as I found Plato a great inspiration. And a great help, a great blessing, in fact. And I was of a secular mind, of course. I was not believing in God and feeling I knew why. And in that regard, you could say lacking humility. I had humility in that I was questioning all basic principles, but it was directed against, if you like, others who had these basic principles that were probably suspect as I saw it. So I was genuine, but a genuine rebel. And youth is that. It's inspired to find the truth. It doesn't think mum and dad have necessarily got it. Or at least mum or dad might have it, but the world hasn't. How right they are. It's just that they don't know what is right yet. So they set out on a quest to find it. They try to find it by experience, not necessarily rationality, you see. I mean, they present it as rational. I'm not doing that because of so-and-so, I've got a right to do this, I've got a right to freedom and all the rest of it, And that's because of their immaturity. They haven't necessarily, if you like, found the right way of seeking, the most promising way of seeking truth. But they're on the first step. And this is why being with youth is an inspiration. They're energetic, positive, active, risking things that a mature person is not risking. He may have been crushed into some sort of submission, and religion may have been a major part of achieving this. Typically it's not in the modern age, because in the modern world religion is seen as a fraud and has been something that's not appropriate any more than the corruptions we see in the world by the non-religious. 17 minutes. Goodness, time has flown.